I bought my home in the woods for one reason: peace. After losing my wife 3 years ago, I searched for a place where the world would finally grow quiet. A place without traffic, without neighbors, without the constant weight of people asking how I was holding up. So I found this cabin. A small wooden house tucked between tall pine trees, with a stream running behind it and nothing but the sound of wind and birds. This home was supposed to be mine, my safe place, my new beginning. I never imagined someone in my own family would try to take it away. My name is Daniel. I'm 62 years old. And this is a story of how my son-in-law tried to move his parents into my house, and what I did to make sure he never tried anything like that again. It all began on a quiet Tuesday morning. I was sitting on the porch, sipping coffee, watching the fog slide between the trees. That's when I heard a car engine crawling up my long gravel driveway, a sound that never meant anything good. Only 3 people ever visited me without calling first: my daughter, my son-in-law, and trouble. That morning, all 3 arrived together. My daughter, Emily, stepped out of the car first. She looked uncomfortable, nervous, like she'd been forced into coming. But my son-in-law, Mark, stepped out like he owned the place. He didn't even look at me. He looked straight at the house, nodded, and said, "Yeah, this'll do." My jaw tightened. Do for what? I asked, but he didn't answer. Instead, he waved his phone around and said, "Signal's a little weak here, but we'll manage." We? That was the first red flag. My daughter tried to smile. "Dad, can we talk inside?" I knew something was wrong. I could feel it in the same place you feel a storm before it hits. Inside the cabin, Mark walked around like a real estate inspector, opening cabinets, running his hand over the dining table, checking the fireplace like he was already planning where to put things. Emily cleared her throat. "Dad, Mom and Dad, that is, Mark's parents, they're going through a hard time. They lost their apartment. They have nowhere to go." I nodded slowly. "That's sad," I said. "But what does that have to do with me?" Before Emily could speak, Mark cut in. "They can stay here." Just like that. No question. No permission. No shame. I stared at him. "Stay here? In my home?" Mark shrugged. "It's only logical, Daniel. You live alone. This place has 2 spare rooms. They need help and your space." My heart began pounding, not from fear, but from the disrespect. I looked at my daughter. "Emily, this isn't you talking. What is going on?" She looked down at her hands. But Mark looked me dead in the eyes and said, "They're moving in next week. We already told them." That was the moment my peace shattered. My own son-in-law had decided that my home, my refuge, my healing place, was theirs to take. He had no idea that the moment he said those words, I began planning a surprise he would never forget. Mark was always difficult, a man who believed the world owed him something just because he existed, a man who thought being loud meant being right, a man who believed kindness was a weakness. From the moment Emily married him, I knew he'd bring trouble, but she loved him, and I never stood between my daughter and her happiness. Still, I watched, and over the years, I saw the patterns. He controlled money. He controlled decisions. He controlled conversations. And he slowly controlled her. My daughter wasn't weak. She was tired of trying to keep peace with a man who never cared to give it. But this was the first time his selfishness directly tried to take something from me. When they left that morning, my daughter hugged me with trembling arms. "I'm sorry, Dad," she whispered. "He didn't ask me. He told me. I'm trying to stop it." I held her tightly. "You don't need to protect him, sweetheart." She shook her head. "I'm not protecting him. I'm protecting myself." There was pain behind her eyes, the kind of pain I recognized, the kind that my wife once carried when life became too heavy. I wanted to fight for her. But first, I needed to fight for my home. Over the next few days, Mark began calling me, no, dictating to me, "Daniel, make sure the rooms are cleared. Daniel, they don't eat much, so don't worry. Daniel, they sleep early, so turn the heat up before they arrive." Every message made my blood boil, but I stayed calm. Why? Because every dictator falls hardest when he believes he's untouchable. And Mark? He believed he had already won. But while he was too busy celebrating his imagined victory, I was crafting a plan to make sure my home stayed mine. A plan that required patience. A plan that required silence. A plan that required surprise so shocking that he would never, ever try something like this again. The surprise didn't involve anger. It didn't involve yelling. It didn't involve threats. No, my revenge would be much cleaner, much smarter, and much more permanent. But before I could start, I needed more information. So I called a friend, an old lawyer named George, who handled my wife's estate years ago. He owed me a favor, and I needed advice only someone like him could give. When he picked up the phone, I explained everything. After a long pause, he said, "Daniel, this could get messy, but I know exactly what you need to do." I smiled to myself. I figured you would. And that phone call, that was the moment my simple surprise transformed into a masterpiece. Mark became bolder each day. He called me like an employer calling an employee. "You should fix the broken porch light," he said. "They're old, Daniel. They need comfort. The downstairs bathroom needs better lighting. Dad's vision isn't great. Oh, and remember, they're not dog people. So keep your dog outside when they move in." My dog, the only living soul that had been with me through grief, loneliness, and silence, that was a moment when my anger almost slipped. But I kept my voice calm. "Don't worry, Mark. I'm preparing everything." He chuckled. "Good. And hey, one day, this house will be Emily's anyway. So consider this a test run." A test run? That line stayed in my mind like a burning coal. He didn't just want his parents here temporarily. He wanted ownership, control, a future without me in it. But the universe has a strange sense of humor. Because just when people like Mark believe they're rising, it's usually the moment they're closest to falling. 3 days before his parents' planned arrival, I invited them over for final arrangements. He arrived with a confident smile, ready to give more instructions. But when he stepped inside, he froze. The house looked empty. Boxes everywhere. Furniture moved. Walls bare. Shelves clear. He blinked in confusion. "Daniel, what are you doing?" I shrugged casually. "Oh, this? Just packing." "Packing? For what?" I looked him straight in the eyes. "For moving out." The color drained from his face. "What? Moving out? Why would you be moving out?" "Simple," I said. "I've sold the house." His mouth fell open. "What? You sold my house." I raised an eyebrow. "Your house?" He stuttered. "You know what I mean. Emily will own it one day, your grandkids, our family." I stepped closer. "This house was never part of your future, Mark." He swallowed hard, but tried to stand tall. "So, who did you sell it to?" I smiled softly. That's where the surprise begins. Mark's panic quickly shifted to anger. "You had no right to sell this place. You should have asked us. You should have discussed it." "Discuss it? With the man trying to take it over?" I sat down calmly and motioned for him to sit as well. He didn't, so I began talking anyway. "Mark, I know everything. I know your parents didn't lose their apartment. I know they sold it." He froze. His eyes widened just slightly, but enough for me to see the truth. "Yes," I continued. "They sold it to pay your debts." He didn't speak. "You took out loans you couldn't pay, didn't you? You gambled. You invested poorly. You lied to Emily." His jaw tightened. "And when debt collectors started calling, you panicked. So you decided to move your parents into my home. Why? Because you were planning to move into their apartment once they were settled here." His silence was all the confirmation I needed. "You wanted your parents to live here while you took their property for yourself." I leaned back. "You weren't helping them. You were helping yourself." He finally exploded. "You don't understand anything. I had no choice. Things are tight." I raised a hand, stopping him cold. "You had many choices, Mark. You just kept choosing the selfish one." He grabbed the back of a chair, gripping it so hard his knuckles turned white. "So now what? You'll just leave?" Walk away from everything? Let people take advantage of Emily? I shook my head. Emily is safe. I made sure of it. He frowned. What does that mean? I pulled out a folder from the table and handed it to him. Inside were papers he never expected to see. His eyes scanned them. His breathing became louder. His face grew paler. What is this? I spoke gently. It's the paperwork Emily signed yesterday. Divorce papers. A protective separation. A temporary restraining agreement. And her own request to stay with me until the process is complete. He looked like he might collapse. She left you, Mark, because she finally saw the truth. Your lies. Your debt. Your plans. He staggered back. No, she wouldn't. She did. His voice cracked. This wasn't supposed to happen. I leaned forward. That's the problem with your plans, Mark. They only work when nobody knows the truth. He dropped the folder. And then he whispered, So what now? I smiled quietly. Now comes the real surprise. I stood up slowly, walked to the window, and looked out at the trees. You see those woods, Mark? That quiet? That peace? I came here to heal. And you came here to take advantage. He didn't answer. My friend George, you remember the lawyer? He helped me take care of something important. I turned back to him. I didn't just sell this house. I sold it to someone you know. He blinked rapidly. Who? I took a deep breath. Your parents. His expression twisted into confusion, then horror. What? Why? Why would you sell it to them? Because they deserve a home, a peaceful home, a home where no one will use them for money or personal gain. He stared at me like I had lost my mind. You sold my house to my parents. Why? Because this was never your house, but it can be theirs. And now you have no place to move into, no apartment to take, no property to control. His voice trembled with anger. You think this is funny? You think this will stop me? I shook my head. No, Mark. I think this will save the people you were taking advantage of. Then I delivered the final blow. And Emily, she will live with them temporarily, until she finds her own place. They agreed to protect her. They care about her more than you ever did. He staggered back like he'd been punched. You turned everyone against me. No, you did that all by yourself. The room fell silent. Only the sound of the wind outside filled the space. After a long moment, I said softly, Get out, Mark. This is no longer your battlefield. This is a home, a real one, and you're not welcome here anymore. He opened his mouth to protest, but no words came, because deep down he knew it was over, not because of anger, not because of revenge, but because his lies had finally collapsed. The next morning his parents arrived, not with smiles, not with excitement, but with shame. They approached me quietly, their eyes full of apologies. We didn't know, his mother whispered. We thought he had told you everything. I nodded gently. You're safe here, and you'll always be treated with respect. Emily stepped out from the porch and hugged them tightly. They embraced her with tears in their eyes. This was a family that Mark tried to use. People who had given him everything. They weren't my responsibility, but they were kind, decent, and undeserving of the chaos he brought into their lives. I signed the final documents with them on the porch. The cabin was officially theirs, a safe place for them, a new beginning for Emily. As for me, I had already purchased a smaller cabin an hour away, a place with a lake view, perfect for a fresh start. When Mark arrived later that day, everything was already done. He stepped out of his car with bags, ready to move his parents in, still believing he could regain control. But when he saw his parents on my porch, his wife beside them, signed ownership papers, and me standing calmly, he froze. His mother stepped forward. Mark, we're staying here, and Emily is staying with us, until she's ready to live her life without you. His face drained of color. Mom, Dad, you're choosing him over me? His father shook his head. No, we're choosing honesty over manipulation. Mark looked at Emily. You can't leave me. You have nothing without me. She inhaled slowly. No, Mark, I finally have peace. That's everything. He looked around, desperate. Dad, Daniel, tell them. This isn't fair. Tell them what you did. I walked a few steps toward him. I didn't destroy you. I just stopped you from destroying everyone else. He looked at me with pure disbelief, maybe even hatred. But then something unexpected happened. He didn't yell. He didn't beg. He didn't fight. He just deflated, as if he finally realized the one truth he had avoided for years. His lies had cost him everything. Without another word, he got into his car, backed down the driveway, and disappeared into the woods. And that was the last time any of us saw him. Life calmed down after that. Emily finally began to smile again, slowly, gently, like a flower coming back after winter. His parents settled into their new home with gratitude instead of guilt. And I moved to my new lakeside cabin, a little smaller, a little older, but perfect. We spent weekends together. We rebuilt trust. We talked about healing. We learned how strong a family becomes when manipulation is gone. Every once in a while, my daughter would say, "Dad, thank you. If you hadn't stepped in, I don't know what my future would have looked like." But I always answer the same way. You saved yourself. I just helped open the door. Looking back, I learned something important. Some people don't take from you with force. They take from you with guilt, with manipulation, with the belief that you'll stay silent. But silence can be broken. Peace can be protected. And a true home, is built on respect, not control. Mark tried to claim what wasn't his. But the moment he tried to take my refuge, he exposed everything he had been hiding. Revenge isn't always fire. Sometimes it's simply truth. And truth, when revealed at the right moment, becomes the most powerful surprise of all.